Hello, everybody. I'm TJ, and welcome back to New Zealand Mysteries, the live stream edition. I'm sorry to those of you who have had to go around the different times I've had to make up today, but I'm trying to get around my other job, and I've had to move times a few times. But I hope that people will find me anywho. So there's been a lot of discussion this week, or in the last couple of days, with movement on the Delphi murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German. What I wanted to do today is go through the video that I actually made about the girls and also play the video of an interview I'd done with Anthony Greenough a while ago, back in July, I think it was. And yeah, it was really good. And then in the weekend, I've been talking with Anthony, and we're trying to make a time between our time zones where we can get him back on the show to go over the new developments, which will be really awesome. Hey, Shauna, welcome, honey. It's good to see you. So that's really what we're looking at anyway. Now, if this sounds like you, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified when we go updates. Now, with New Zealand Mysteries, I have a huge bunch of videos that I've done, and they mainly cover New Zealand cases, although some of them are international, but the live stream is usually just international cases. So there's a bit of a difference there. Whatever you like is cool. Little Pookie, hello, my darling. It's good to see you. I'm glad that people are finding me. So I did this video. I mean, let's say I've gotten better and become part of a compassionate. This video was when I was wearing a wig, so we can laugh at that because at the time I was really insecure about having my face on my videos and stuff like that. So I look a bit like a dick, but we can laugh at that. That's fine. The rules are at the top, pinned. So make sure you read those. They're pretty simple. And yeah, if you want to become a member, the links are in the description box below. And if you become a member, you can also be a moderator. It's something that we're trying out. So I'm going to start playing because we've got a lot to look at. And we can chat. I thought your hair was just long back then, little Pookie. No, I was wearing a wig. Okay, let's start, and hopefully some more people will join us because we've got a bit to look through. Caring community who want to raise awareness about cancers for victims and their families, you're in the right place. So please hit that subscribe button somewhere down there and join us at New Zealand Mysteries community. Please remember to give the video a thumbs up as well. If you are a returning subscriber, many thanks. I so appreciate each and every one of you. Today is a big video, big case. I'm giving an overview of the murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German in Delphi, Indiana in 2017. This is a preparation for an interview coming up on Friday, July 23rd at 2 p.m. and that's New Zealand time. And it's with a guest, a YouTuber who I believe to be somewhat of an expert on the case, Mr. Anthony Greenough from True Crime Investigates. The time might sound a bit weird, but there was a problem with time zones and it was hard to come up with a time that suited us both. So I believe it is the previous night at 10 p.m. for him. If you're going to watch and tune in, I suggest you check up on your local time. There is so much information, rumours, videos, media about this. There's no way I would be able to cover everything. So I'm hoping just to share with you the key points of the case, and then we can chat to Anthony and ask questions. I'm going to be sharing some of his video footage with permission. So if you want to research more after this video, go and check his channel out. Loads more info, and of course make sure you tune into our interview. But for now, let's get started. So for those Kiwi viewers who might not know where Delphi, Indiana is situated, have a look on screen. This is Indiana, and if my computer works all right, let's zoom in and have a look. So you can see it's between Chicago and Indiana, just out of Indianapolis. So I hope it sort of helps a little to know where it is. Delphi is home to a large network of parks and trails, numerous shops, restaurants and heritage and cultural attractions. The population, according to the 2010 census, was just under 3,000 at 2,893. Let's get to that fateful day. On February the 13th, 2017, best friends Abigail Williams, Abby, who's just 13, Abby was explained as a happy, outgoing young girl, and Liberty German, 14, who we'll call Libby, who loved baking cookies. They had a snow day, so day off school. The two girls attended Delphi Community Middle School, where they both played saxophone and volleyball together. At 1:35 p.m. on that Monday, the girls were dropped off at the Monon High Bridge Trail by Libby's older sister, Kelsey. The girls decided to cross the Monon High Bridge, which is an old, unused rail bridge. The bridge is dangerous, with some of the crossposts called ties missing or rotten. The Monon High Bridge Trail attracts hunters, fishers, campers, and kids hiking or just taking photos of the popular spot. This bridge, also known as just the High Bridge, spans Deer Creek and is 1,300 feet long, which for us Kiwis is about 396 metres in length, and at 63 high, which is about 20 metres high. The bridge is believed to be Indiana's second tallest bridge. It carried trains high above Deer Creek until it was abandoned by CSX in 1987. There ain't no way I would ever get on that bridge. I'm so afraid of heights. I would have to crawl, and I don't think I would get very far, I tell you that. I know since that there's been some restoration progress on the bridge itself. At 2:07 p.m. that day, you're definitely making a few mistakes. So it was a while ago, and I hope that I've got better and better in my videos than I did back then. So guys, I had to move this stream forward an hour because I've got work later on. So I'm betting that quite a few people haven't realized that it's been moved an hour forward, but they can watch it on the replay. Libby posted a pic of Abby walking on the high bridge on Snapchat. That was the last time the girls were heard from. The girls were due to be collected by Libby's grandfather Mike in the trail car park at about 3:15 p.m, but they failed to show up. By 5 p.m, the girls' families were out searching for them. At 5:30, the police were called and the girls were reported as missing, and by 6 p.m, most of the town had joined police, but the girls were not found. The search resumed the next day at around noon, 14th of February. The bodies of Abby and Libby were found by searchers about 15 metres from the north bank of Deer Creek on the 12-hectare property of 77-year-old who has not been considered a suspect. Just going to pause it for a minute. Have you noticed that my mouth is not moving to the right movement of my talking, of my lips? It's weird. So I'm hoping if I just pause it for a moment, it will catch up. Thank you for being here. I've seen there's 6 or 7 of you lurking, which is awesome. So yeah, we're just going through the video of the basics about the case. Then we'll go to my interview with Anthony Greenough about the girls, which is in lead up to having another interview with Greenough this weekend to update us on the new stuff going on around the case. Go. I've pressed play. It's just not. And we're going to watch a video shortly that Anthony's put together, which is going to go over all this stuff too. Police have never actually released details of how the girls were murdered. This case has become huge, not just in Indiana or the US, but all around the world. There's media, podcasts, and YouTubers have covered this case. There's hundreds of people that have. There has been expert analysis on every aspect of the crime and many videos made. We're going to watch a couple of those today, shortly. Indiana State Police began circulating an image of an individual reportedly seen walking on the Monon High Bridge. This guy was a Caucasian male, head down, with his hands in his pockets, walking on the rail bridge towards the girls who were on the other side of the bridge. A few days later, the person photographed was named the prime suspect in the murders of Abby and Libby, and from then on, the man became known as Bridge Guy, or BG. On February 22nd, at a news conference, law enforcement released an audio recording where the voice of the suspect can be heard to say, "Down the hill." Officials stated that the footage and audio had come from Libby's phone, and Libby was hailed as a hero for capturing the suspect on her phone. Law enforcement did allude to having more info from Libby's phone, but did not release it. Liberty German recorded the killer's order after she placed her phone with its video camera rolling in her pocket as he cornered them on the bridge. So what an amazing thing of her to do, to think about that, or have, the presence of mind to think about recording at that time where they must have been just terrified. On July 17th, law enforcement released a sketch of a person of prime interest in the murders. It had apparently been drawn by police from witnesses. So this guy is Bridge Guy. During a press conference on April 22, they also released a short video recording in which the blue-jeaned and jacketed suspect is seen walking along the rail bridge for a little over a second. An updated sketch of the suspect was also released. This sketch was much different. Actually completely different to the first one. And police say this person may range in age from 18 to 40, but caution that his youthful appearance could make him look younger than his true age. The police also believe that the suspect might well be hiding in plain sight, and that the person is almost certainly familiar with the area of Delphi, whether it be from living or working here or for other reasons. An additional plea was made for help in identifying the driver of a vehicle left abandoned off the Hoosier Heartland Highway in Delphi at the former Child Services Office between noon and 5 p.m. on the day of the murder. I'm going to let Anthony now in a video explain and go over what I've just told you. It might make it easier to follow. Let's have a look.
February 13th, the day of disaster. It all started around 12 o'clock p.m. that day. An unidentified white male arrived at the Monon High Bridge Trail and parked his car at an abandoned CPS welfare building near County Road 300 trail entrance, Site B. He made his way down the path and across the high bridge in about 30 minutes. Approximately 12:30 p.m., the anonymous woman at this property took her two dogs on a walk to the bridge. Upon arriving, she came in contact with a man wearing a blue jacket, brown hoodie, a hat, and washed-out blue jeans. She engaged in casual conversation with the man. After speaking for a few minutes, the woman returned home, and the man was seen walking back across the high bridge. She described this man as in his 40s with reddish-brown hair, a very thin goatee, and that he didn't have blue eyes. She noticed nothing out of the ordinary with the person. A little over an hour later, Kelsey Sherman is headed down to run some errands. Libby asked if she would drop her and Abby off at the high bridge on her way into town. The grandmother, Becky, approved this as long as Libby arranged for her father to pick her up. Derek was also running errands in Frankfort, Indiana, and would be back to pick the girls up around 3 o'clock p.m. Kelsey drove Abby and Libby to this location and dropped them off around 1:45, trail entrance, Site C. They made their way down to the 501. and Libby snapped 2 pictures and uploaded them to Snapchat. One of the rickety bridge ahead, and the other from this platform, a photo of Abby, the last communication anyone ever had from them at 2:07 p.m. They continued across the bridge to the end of the trail. At some point, the man in the blue coat began following them. Feeling a sense of danger and mysterious vibe, Libby activated the video feature on her cell phone and captured this image of a man approaching them at approximately 2:20 p.m. He is now known as the Bridge Guy. Police believe he is the prime suspect. They emphasized on why he is considered the murderer of the 2 teens.
The reason we believe this is a suspect is based on the totality of the evidence that we've gathered thus far. That has led us to believe this is the person that at least participated in the murders of Liberty German and Abigail Williams.
Police released a grainy photo of the suspect, indicating the photo is a still image of a video file.
The image that you see there of the suspect, that came from Liberty's phone. We have more video. We're not releasing it. It's germane to our investigation.
This young lady's a hero, there's no doubt. To have enough presence of mind to activate the video system on her cell phone.
And also released 3 words said by the suspect, ordering the girls.
And it's important that we spread that person's voice far and wide. But there's enough there that somebody could recognize this person's voice. If you hear this today, and you think, my God, that sounds like fill in the blank, call us. But you may tell us who the right person was. And you could be the person that helps us to solve this horrible crime.
But there's no doubt in our minds that that young lady is a hero. To record what we believe is criminal behavior that is about to occur.
We're not stopping. Someone knows who this individual is, who's next. And if you're watching, we'll find you.
Around the same time the suspect was ordering the girls down the hill, a woman by the name of Cheyenne and her friend Cheryl arrived at the main parking area and began their trek to the high bridge. As they are moving down the trail, the suspect is ordering the girls in this direction. About 100 yards away is the creek. The bodies were discovered the next day on the other side. There is much speculation on what exactly caused the 3 to cross the freezing water. Law enforcement has stated that the girls were killed in the area the bodies were found. But did they try to run from the suspect? Or did the suspect select this isolated location? Until there is an arrest, we may never know. Around 2:35 p.m., Cheyenne and Cheryl arrive at the high bridge. But there is no one in sight. Silence is in the air. The feeling of death lingers. As they now cross the bridge, the suspect has already murdered Abby and Libby and is making his way back towards the trail in this direction. But a local millionaire and trail organizer wearing a flannel shirt has now arrived at the parking area and is making his way down the trail. His name is David McCain, but he is most commonly known as Flannel Shirt Guy. The suspect re-enters the trail somewhere in this location and passes McCain just past the center portion of the trail at the same time Cheyenne and Cheryl are taking this picture. This all happens around 10 till 3 p.m. The suspect heads back to his vehicle and leaves the area. Libby's father, Derek, is on his way to pick them up. David McCain makes his way to the High Bridge.
So just having a pause. Hello, Sarah. Welcome to our chat. Welcome to New Zealand Mysteries live stream. It's good to see you and meet you. Sixth Sense Amelia, welcome, hon. It's good to have you here. So today is all about just going over the Delphi case, so the videos that I've done on Delphi, because in the weekend we should have a time when we can get Anthony Greenough on panel with us to talk about the latest developments in the case. So today we're just going over the videos that I've done previously about the case, just to refresh everybody's minds. Welcome, my friends. Go. I pressed go. I need a new computer, I tell you.
Notices the two pretty girls on the bridge.
Hey, Julie, welcome.
And they seem to notice him too, describing him as an older man with white hair who lingered around the head of the bridge for a few minutes and then left. As McCain headed back towards the parking area, Derek made his way to the center section of the trail. The two men made contact. Derek asked McCain if he had seen two young girls, describing them. McCain said no, but there are a couple on the bridge. Finding out through their conversation that the two girls on the bridge were not Abby and Libby, Derek checked the 505 trail, but still, no sign of Abby and Libby.
Hopefully that video explained things a little bit better than I did. Anthony does a wonderful job with those videos. There have been a few persons of interest over the years, men that resemble the sketches of Bridge Guy, and these are just a few. Paul Etta was wanted for the kidnapping and rape of a 26-year-old woman on June the 22nd in Tippecanoe County. 5 days later, Etta was surrounded by police, and after a 5-hour standoff, he died by suicide, and that was on the 23rd of July. He was charged with threatening strangers on a monument trail with a hatchet. The expired Indiana plates on the car he was driving was noticed by police, who discovered there was an outstanding warrant under his name. It was reported that a bicyclist had actually been shot and died on the same trail at around the same time that Daniel Nations was there threatening strangers. In early February 2018, though, authorities said that Nations was no longer considered an active person of interest. Thomas Bruce, who formerly worked as a pastor, is charged with fatally shooting one woman and sexually assaulting two others. His crimes were committed in broad daylight, the same as what happened in Delphi. And being of similar stature as the male in the sketch, he had worn a flat cap and navy blue jacket during his attack. So some considered him a suspect as well, or a person of interest. Charles Eldridge was arrested on January 8, 2019 in Union City, Indiana on charges of child molestation and child solicitation. Police in Randolph County alerted the FBI to a potential link between Eldridge and the Delphi murders on account of his strong resemblance to the suspect sketch. This was, however, before the updated composite had been released. The latest suspect, or person of interest, is James Brian Chadwell II. On April 27, 2021, Indiana State Police detectives named James Brian Chadwell II as a new person of interest in the Delphi murders. Chadwell, 42, was arrested after a 9-year-old missing girl was found naked and covered in dog bites in the basement in his Lafayette home. Some say that he bears an uncanny resemblance to a police sketch of the bridge guy, but he has not been formally named as a suspect. as when I'm recording this, he is currently in jail awaiting trial for these charges. Now, police have alluded to having DNA from the crime scene of the suspect, but have never confirmed this. Most of the suspects for this crime have had an extensive criminal history. This means that their DNA and fingerprints will be on file. Because of this, Paul Eder, and I know Thomas Bruce and Garrett Kurtz, another person, were also eliminated as suspects. But does that mean that this was the killer's first offence? It seems like a huge crime for a first offence, in my opinion. Let's take another look at a video from Anthony, and he'll explain a little bit more.
Nobody had the presence of mind to turn on her video camera. There's enough there that somebody could recognize this person's voice. The image that you see there of the suspect, that came from Liberty's phone.
This young lady's a hero, there's no doubt. Have enough presence of mind to activate the video system on her cell phone. The FBI plays an important support role in this investigation.
We have more video. We're not releasing it. It's germane to our investigation.
If you're watching, we'll find you.
We've never had this before.
We need to get the murderer, Liberty German, and Abigail Williams into custody sooner rather than later.
Person that helps us solve this horrible crime.
It's the voice that echoes. Over and over again, that murmur you're hearing may have been one of the last sounds Abby and Libby heard as Libby recorded it on her cell phone. But whose voice is it? No one knows. But it belongs to this guy, seen here in this grainy photo taken from one of the victim's cell phones, just moments before their death. Approaching over 2.5 years later, that man remains unknown. Did the one who produced that phrase look like this bearded man with the cap? In July 2017, investigators insisted that this FBI composite sketch was a more detailed image of the man shown here, also known worldwide as the Bridge Guy.
We feel it's very important because it's actually gives a view of the person in the picture you can see down below. It shows a little more facial features and a little more information on what's we're looking at who the suspect might be.
1 year into the investigation, we asked police if they were willing to release more audio and a clip of the actual suspect walking.
There's more to work with?
No, you're not. We think that we've released enough now that if there's a possibility of identifying the killer, based on do that. And that's all I can say about the video.
It was. The clock slowly fades into another minute, another hour, and eventually another year, with the reward reaching over $250,000 and over 45,000 tips. Still, no arrests have been made. And in April 2019, law enforcement announced a new strategy. They called this the New Direction.
We believe you were hiding in plain sight. For more than 2 years, you never thought we would shift gears to a different investigative strategy, but we have.
Additional audio was released of the suspect's voice.
you rock. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I got to ask, young lady, do you want to be a mod? It's something we're trying out for people that become members, because I feel bad that I can't give them much. So, yeah, do you want to be a mod? Because I can mod you up. And welcome to the family. I think it's effing amazing.
Has now made its way around the world. Since the crime, we've seen these guys, who many claim are the most notable persons of interest. But as time went by, none have been charged with the crime. Police believe the person responsible for the murders of Abby and Livy is living amongst the Delphi community. The most stunning piece of evidence in the new direction was this: a new sketch of the suspect. This sketch depicts a younger-looking man between the ages of 18 to 40. So what about the original sketch released by the FBI in 2017? Police clarified, this sketch should now be considered secondary, that the two men in these sketches are not the same person, and the person in this sketch is no longer a person of interest in the case. They further added that the newer drawing was actually created 3 days after the murders. So the question that's on everyone's mind is, have we been searching for the wrong man this entire time? And where did this sketch come from then? Two witnesses claim to have seen the man shown here, on the trail, around the time the girls went missing. One was a woman walking her dogs. Since the woman has since moved, Greenough Productions has obtained permission to show the area in which this took place. The timestamp, February 13th, 2017, approximately 12:30 p.m. The location, the infamous hill located just off the southeast side of the Monon High Bridge. The second witness is more commonly referred to as Flannel Shirt Guy. The timestamp, February 13th, 2017, approximately 2:47 p.m. Flannel Shirt Guy claims to have crossed paths with the suspect in this general location. The suspect was headed in the direction of the Freedom Bridge. Flannel Shirt Guy, who has been identified as David McCain, says that he didn't notice anything suspicious about the man at that time. It took almost 2 years for McCain's statement to finally hold some merit. Indiana State Police Superintendent Doug Carter pled for information of an abandoned vehicle that was parked off County Road 300 North alongside the old DCS welfare building.
We're seeking the public's help to identify the driver of a vehicle that was parked at the old CPS DCS welfare building in the city of Delphi that was abandoned on the east side of County Road 300 North next to the Hoosier Heartland Highway.
Provided that is the suspect's vehicle, Flannel Shirt Guy's statement now seems corroborated, as the direction the suspect was heading upon passing McCain was back to his vehicle, which is located at the County Road 300 North Trail Entrance, Site B. If the suspect parked at this location, then it would show that he had premeditated this attack. This is the general parking area for the Monon High Bridge Trail. The suspect parked here because he knew that this was an area that majority of people would never enter from. He could remain isolated and away from potential witnesses that could identify his vehicle. It also seems more so premeditated due to the fact that the suspect was seen on the south side of the bridge over an hour prior to when the victims arrived. This indicates that he was canvassing the area, planning a calculated attack. He was engaged in conversation with the woman walking her dogs while standing on the hill. Ironically, that is the same hill the suspect can be heard ordering the girls to go down during the abduction portion of the crime. I spent countless hours at the crime scene studying it, debunking rumors and testing theories, interviewing, in person, all the major people involved, attending and donating to fundraisers in relation to the case, and doing my best to keep this case in the forefront. This is my community, Delphi, the heart of Carroll County, Indiana. It hurts me deeply to say, I'll never feel the same here again. My old-timey, quiet small town is now plagued as one of the world's biggest unsolved mysteries. We will forever be known as the Delphi murders. I believe the killer is local, and is someone many of us know, but just don't recognize him through the pixelated footage.
We're following breaking news tonight out of Indiana. Someone has murdered 2 girls.
The search is on for a killer in the small city of Delphi.
Oh, everybody's upset. They just can't believe somebody would do that to those little girls.
Delphi, it's always quiet, but today feels different. You can feel the pain.
A manhunt is still underway for the killer or killers of these 2 young girls.
I believe you had just a little bit of conscience left. 2 children. Only a coward would do such a thing.
2 years into this massive investigation, the multi-agency task force shocked the city by releasing this sketch of the new suspect.
Another great video. He really puts things together so that you understand them. Quickly, before we move on, I just want to say a big and huge thank you to Aaron and Zoe for your kind donation. They went to buymeacoffee.com/NZ Mysteries. If you can help out, that would be fantastic. Now, moving on. Where is the case now? Well, the case is unsolved. We know that. Investigators have been very tight-lipped in this investigation. They've kept a lot of cards close to their chest, never releasing much info, alluding to having more info. It's caused a lot of frustration to the public. People are asking, how are they supposed to help catch the killer if the police don't release enough information? But we know police have their reasons. There is so many questions, so many things we don't know. I want to know, do the police have DNA or fingerprints from the suspect? How did the girls die? I don't think we need to know that. How was he able to manage to coerce the 2 of them to do what he wanted or control the 2 of them? Was there a weapon involved that he threatened them with, maybe? Did the muck up with sketches mean that people have been searching for the wrong person all this time? That would be terrible. We all thought that was Bridge Guy, with the goatee and stuff, and everyone was comparing him to people for a long time. Did we lose a lot of time because of that? Is the killer local? He seemed to get across that bridge with not too much worry. Like I said, I would be crawling. He seemed to know all the layout of the surrounding area as well. If that was the car that they were talking about, if that was his, he knew where to park. So if he's local, why hasn't he been caught, I guess? There's so many questions, and I hope that when we have the question and answer interview with Anthony Greenough, he may be able to shed light on some of these things. Many events have actually been organised in memory of Abby and Libby. There's been vigils and marches. 4 years on, no one is forgetting about these 2 beautiful girls who were brutally taken from their families. There's so much mystery here, and I think that's why it's gone so international. Everyone just wants this case solved, and if you're in the true crime community, it's one of the biggest cases in the world at the moment. Okay, so that was the video I done back in July with my wig on, looking so damn cool, around the Delphi case, and I was just trying to sort of do an overview of it for people that didn't understand the case. And back then, there were a lot of questions. So I got hold of Anthony Greenough. Now, I know some of you don't like him, but that's fine. I go to him for all my information about Delphi because I find that he has credible information and is really good at telling it. So the next video I'm going to play is the interview that I done with Anthony Greenough back then. And he goes and answers a lot of questions that we had. Again, leading up to the fact that we're going to have him on the show in the next couple of days, and he's going to update us about what is going on now. So 6 Cents Media says, I think I've not heard much because I've only had a phone or social media for about 18 months, no TV either. New Zealand News doesn't often cover international cases. That's right. Jessie, welcome. It's good to have you here. It has almost been 5 years and no more info than this has been released. Absolutely. You can go on Reddit, Sarah says, which has some threads to give a synopsis, but there are some crazy theories there too. I try and get just the facts. I don't like going into theories and that with not much basis. So let me see if I can find this video file. And you're allowed to laugh at me because it was a while ago that we done it. Let's try this one. Let's hope it's the right one and it's the one that's edited. We will see. Hello, everybody. Welcome to New Zealand Mysteries. I'm TJ, and I am so excited to have you guys here for this live stream. I've really been waiting for it. The Delphi case. Gosh, it's, I don't like the word popular, well-known case, and there's lots of confusion around a lot of points, and I want to get some answers. So I'm really excited to have Anthony come very shortly and join us. I just want to say hello to Marvelous Martin, Fro Moments, and Zapton Kaboom. Thanks very much for being here. I really appreciate it. The support means a lot to me. So bear with me. This is the first interview I've done, and I haven't used this program much. It's a free program. So you're going to have to bear with me, I guess, because I haven't done an interview live before and haven't used this for an interview before. I'm just so nervous. Everything goes all right and we get some answers. I'm hoping that at the end we'll have some time for you guys to get some answers if you have any questions. Hey, little Pookie, I'm glad you made it. Thank you very much. That's awesome. So I sent an invite to Mr. Greenough. So let's see. Thank you, little Pookie. It's nice to have people here that I know. It makes me feel much better. I'm sure I'm going to be fine. I've just been taking deep breaths. Hello, Miss L. Thank you for coming. I appreciate everyone that is here. So we're just waiting for Mr. Greenough. I've sent him the invite. How y'all doing today? And what time is it where you guys are? I know that for Greenough in Indiana, it's like 10 p.m. at night. The time zones just kill me. I get so confused because in America, you all have different time zones. And then other countries. So trying to find a time where you can like get people together, and that can be really difficult to work around those time zones. Do you think I've come back, guys? But hopefully. 7 p.m. in Arizona. Wow. So it's 2 p.m. here in New Zealand. 10 p.m. as well, little Pookie. Where are you, Pookie? Oh, no, sorry. Yeah, 10 p.m. So same as Indiana. But it's bound to be the middle of night for somewhere. So I'm just making sure that I...
Problem at all. I am.
Here we go. So I'm guessing it's Thursday night for
Oh my God,
those of you overseas. It's Friday here in New Zealand. Oh, we've got a guest.
Hello.
Hello, how are you? Thank you so much for being here.
I am good. Thank you for having me on here tonight.
Awesome. I know it's late over there. It's only 2 p.m. in New Zealand, but 10 p.m. for you. So I won't keep you too long, hopefully.
No problem. Not a problem at all. I am thrilled to do this tonight.
Thank you so much. So we'll just get into it. Do you prefer Greenough or Anthony? What do you prefer to be called?
You can call me either one. A lot of people call me Greenough just because it's a very catchy name, but you can call me either one. Doesn't matter.
Okay, I'll probably call you both.
Okay.
We'll see. So firstly, you live in Delphi, or you have lived in Delphi?
I grew up in Delphi. I grew up in Delphi, Carroll County, my whole life. Currently don't live in Delphi, but I'm in Delphi all the time. I was actually in Delphi at the crime scene today.
Right, okay. So you still live in Indiana?
Yes.
So,
Yep.
Yep. Awesome. So we'll go through events that day, I guess. We know that the girls had a snow day, a day off school, and went to the Monon High Trail. Now, who was supposed to pick them up that day?
Liberty's father, Derek, was supposed to pick them up.
Right. And he quite quickly knew that something was wrong, I think, at about 3:15 when he turned up and the girls were not there.
Yeah. He was calling Liberty's phone to say, hey, I'm on my way. She didn't answer. He was sending text messages. He arrived there, still didn't answer. And so he took it upon himself to actually go onto the trails to look for him.
Right. So I think about 5:30 or 5 p.m. they were reported missing. How quickly were the law enforcement on the scene that night?
Almost immediately. Probably by 6 o'clock, law enforcement had started an organized search party.
That's pretty good. That's cool. So what time did they search to that night?
They searched until midnight. Officially, law enforcement and volunteer firefighters and hundreds of individuals from the community and surrounding area took to the woods and the trail system to go search for the girls. But the official search was called off at midnight just because it was too dark and somewhat dangerous out in the woods out there. There's a lot of steep hills and ravines. But family members and volunteer searchers continued searching throughout the night.
Right. And then early the next morning, obviously, they started again.
Yeah, they started again around 10 p.m. or so, or 10 a.m.
Yeah. So is it right that the girls were found about lunchtime by some searchers?
Yes. Volunteer firefighters and searchers ended up finding the girls.
Hi there, Kiwi Nana. Welcome. So just briefly about Anthony Greenough. Yes, he has a YouTube channel called True Crime Investigates, which is in the description box below if you'd like to check him out. He lived in Delphi itself, and he lives very close by still, and he has done hundreds of videos about the Delphi case. I find him extremely knowledgeable about the case, So when I want information about the Delphi case, Anthony Greenough is where I go. Some people don't like him. That's fine. You can go and find other creators. But Anthony is the one that I go to. So we have this interview, which I had with him a while ago, and we're going to have Anthony back on in a couple of days. We're just trying to work out the time zones because it's so different. But welcome, Kiwi Nana. It is good to see you. 6 cents Amelia, thank you so much for the super sticker. You rock. And go.
About 12 to 12:15 p.m.
Awesome. So yeah, now I want to talk about this bridge that we've seen. It's completely scary looking to me. We know that Libby posted a pic of Abby on that bridge. Now that bridge is something like 400 meters long. I don't know how many feet it is for you guys.
853.
Yeah, it's scary. And it was her first time on it, wasn't it? Abby's first time on the bridge.
I am unsure on if she had crossed that bridge before. I know that she really wasn't supposed to cross that bridge according to her mother, but right. From the pictures and stuff that we've seen, it seems like Liberty is always a little bit ahead of Abby.
Yeah. Seen you cross that bridge pretty fast, but do you think that the guy is local? Because he seemed to, when we get to Bridge Guy, you'd think that to conquer that bridge, he'd have to have done it before. Or, I mean, he looked like he was going at a steady pace. And
I would assume, based on the terrain, the time frame that the crime happened in, the general presentation of the bridge guy with his hands in his pockets, the way he's moving across the bridge, to me shows that he's very familiar with that bridge, has crossed it multiple times, and kind of the way the crime had went down beyond that point indicates to me that yes, he is a local individual or has been local for several years.
Yeah. Isn't it weird though that, I mean, Delphi only has 3,000 people, or just under 3,000 people. If he was local, why haven't people seen him, or why hasn't he been caught yet? Do you think he's still in the area, or do you think he's hightailed it out of there?
I do think he's still in the area, and the reason a lot of people do focus on that Delphi only has 3,000 people. Now, the population of Carroll County has 20,000, right. But Delphi is a very small community, and you have other small communities around there. You have a small town called Camden, Flora, Burlington, Bringhurst. There's a bunch of tiny little country towns that, I mean, they don't even have a stoplight. There may not even be a gas station or a grocery store in those towns. But most of our area is farmland. We have a lot of cornfields, a lot of bean fields, a lot of cows, horses, different things like that. So majority of the people actually live in a rural area because they're outside of town. So you got our county blocks here are a mile long, and right. You know, it can be a mile or 2 miles between each house. So you don't necessarily see everybody that's around the area because, you know, for instance, let's say I live in the country and, you know, I work on the farm all the time and I don't really go do the shopping. Maybe my wife does, maybe a family member goes and does the shopping in town, banking and things like that. A lot of these people are self-sufficient on their own land through gardening. So they don't need to go into town too often. So I think that he could be an individual like that. And also when we get into these sketches, I feel that he he may not look like either one of those sketches, because it doesn't even seem like law enforcement knows what he looks like, because we have two different sketches and they look so much different. And plus the video of the guy is so pixelated, it could look like almost anyone. And I think that he's just confident enough that nobody can recognize him.
So let's talk about these sketches, because that's one of the things that confuses me and a lot of other people. So we were given first a sketch with the guy with his hat on and the facial hair. So the one on the right there. And that was the sketch that people have been looking at for a couple of years and thinking, well, this is Bridge Guy. Then they released, and I mean, this guy looks older to me. He looks like 50-ish, you know. And then a couple of years later, the police released this other one. It's got no hat on, no facial hair, and he looks like he's in his 20s. These are completely different. Have we been looking for the wrong suspect all this time because they released the wrong photo or sketch?
Yes, I believe. Well, I've spoken with two witnesses, two people that claim one person claims that she talked to the suspect before the murders. One claims to have seen him after the murders leaving the area. And both of them described the man with the hat on, the older looking gentleman. They both described the man as being what they said was in his 40s, with reddish brown hair, a very thin goatee, like we see in the first sketch. And that the woman said that he did not have blue eyes. So two people claimed that they saw an older gentleman there that day. And, 2.5 years later, we come out, or 2 years and 2 months later, they come out and say, well, we don't really want you to focus on this guy. We want you to focus on this other guy. And this is the person we believe is responsible. So I think that we just don't know what he looks like, because I think that because originally they said his profile with that first sketch was 31 to 65, could be from anywhere. Yeah. Then when they released the second sketch, they said, well, 18 to 40 and lives in Delphi. But then they eventually came out and said he could look like either one of the sketches. They're not really sure. So I mean, kind of they're giving us 18 to 65 anywhere, and that's everybody.
So, okay, and there's been so many suspects that look a little bit like one photo, but they look a little bit like the other one as well. Why do you think police released that first sketch then, if it was wrong?
I think they were basing it on credible eyewitnesses, people that have claimed to have seen the guy. I guess they felt may have matched what, if you have multiple people saying the same thing, giving it a very similar description, then you would assume that probably is the person responsible, or he looks somewhat like that. I think that based on intelligence over time, maybe security footage or new witnesses may have come forward, or new evidence has come forward, or maybe even DNA technology has given us a new look of the suspect. So I think those are the only options, really.
I just want to say a quick hello to Blue Heron and Autumn Breeze. Excuse me. Thanks for joining the chat. So do you think that the guy that Liberty filmed on the bridge is the killer?
I'm positive 100% that is the killer. I believe that law enforcement has enough video evidence, and they have stated repeatedly based on the totality of the evidence, that he is the person responsible for the murder of those two girls. There is extensive conversation on that. It's video, but a lot of it is you can't see anything because apparently the phone must have been concealed or hidden. Maybe it was in her pocket, her waistband, whatever. There is extensive conversation between him and them that would likely, and some of it the police have described as disturbing, not suitable for people to listen to. So if it's of disturbing nature, it's probably some violent things that were said or done to the girls.
So you definitely believe that there is more that the police have?
I'm positive. Yes, I'm positive there is, because there was an interview conducted with First Sergeant Jerry Holman from the Indiana State Police, who leads the investigation, and he said in an interview request, the reporter Alexis McAdams from Fox 59 News said, well, what all is on that? And he said, well, I really can't get into that, but there's conversation between him and them. And, based on the conversation that we are hearing, this is definitely the person who we believe is participating in criminal activity.
Right. The most weird things just happened, and someone is knocking at my back door, and I apologize, everybody. I'm not going to answer it. That could only happen to me. Do you think that law enforcement have DNA?
I know they have some sort of DNA. Whether that DNA is from the actual suspect, I do not know. I think that they have a DNA sample of somebody, but they're not entirely 100% positive that it is the man that we see there on the bridge. I think they're just guessing.
Right. Because if they had DNA and they were looking at all these suspects, their DNA would be on file, so they'd be able to cross-reference people.
Yes.
And then if they have this DNA and they haven't matched it to anyone, does that mean it was his first crime, or because it seems pretty serious to be a first crime? Does that make sense?
It does. It does. It's probably not his first crime, but it is probably the first. Basically, the individual he's never been arrested before. He's managed to escape arrest in any other types of crimes that he may have committed. So I think this was his close call, and in a way he got caught because he got caught on video, but he didn't really get caught, because he's still on the loose.
Yep. And I feel sorry or horrible that Liberty actually had the mind, to catch this guy on video and audio. She's done an amazing job, and yet it hasn't resulted in someone being arrested or charged. I find that really, really sad.
I do too.
Yeah. So you think he's local? And actually, sorry, the signatures at the scene. Did I hear that the police actually said there was some sort of signatures left at the scene? Is that correct?
At least three types of signatures.
And I think, doesn't that usually mean that it's a serial killer if they have signatures that they've killed before and they leave these types of things?
Well, it can work in a multitude of ways. It can be a signature is something that a suspect suspect, they've described it in a couple ways. Like a signature is something on, maybe if it's a serial killer, some serial killers, they like to stab their victims. Some like to strangle. Some will shoot. And that's their method of, that's how they want to kill the individual. Maybe it's a sexual assault. Signatures are also described in a way as to things that are done to the bodies after death. And based on some of the interviews with law enforcement that I've conducted, I think that there was post-mortem injuries to the girls, and those are some of the signatures. Something very odd that majority of people wouldn't do if it was just a crime of passion, heat of the moment. You know, something happened and you ended up killing someone out of instant anger. This is something that was done that was almost overkill.
Yeah. Just to pause, his partner, I think, or maybe someone is doing the dishes in his house at the same time in the interview, as well as someone knocking on my door in the interview. So it was a bit hard. My computer is shut, so I hope that you can hear. It's an interesting interview because I did manage to get a whole lot of details confirmed that he knew. I think he's really good with his information. Autumn says, my cat keeps trying to drink my eggnog. I've never drunk eggnog in my life. It just sounds so gross. So I'm not going to join you in that. But Merry Christmas, everybody. Yeah, let's listen to the rest. That's so sad. So I know there's been a lot of people saying that law enforcement are not releasing enough information. So people first, they want to know how the girls were killed. I don't think the public needs to know that information. I know that people are curious in true crime and they want to know details, but I don't think we need to know that. But do you think that they need to release some more information after all this time? Because obviously the little information that they're releasing is not getting this suspect caught.
I do believe that they need to release more information. If we go back 4 years ago, shortly after the crime had happened, my friend Michael Catt and myself went to the sheriff because they were giving us 3 different screenshots of the bridge guy. And our first instinct was, well, this is a video. We have some sort of video of this guy walking. And so we went to the sheriff and we said, could you just release a clip of the guy walking? Maybe someone would recognize that. And their response was, well, yeah, that could jeopardize the investigation. We don't want to release any video of the guy. We feel that this is enough. So 1 year later, at the 1 year press conference, we asked again, would you release more? Would you release video? Give us a little more to work with. And they said, no, we believe this is enough that at this time we feel someone will identify the suspect. And our response to that was, look, everyone around the world has seen that picture. Everyone. It's been around the world. Everybody has seen that. Everybody has heard the voice. And no one has come forward to identify that individual because we don't believe that it's possible looking at the video. Yeah. So we said, based on that, are you just looking for someone to call in and say, I recognize the man? Because we don't think that's going to happen a year in. And they said, yes, that is what we want. So, but then they came out and released the video, 2 years and 2 months into the investigation. So it didn't jeopardize the case like they told us in the beginning. So what would hurt? Releasing a little bit more video, give us more audio, because, first 3 words down the hill is not something that I could go and say, oh, that sounds just like my brother or my friend, because it's just too short of a phrase. Even the word guys, that doesn't give us anything. We need to hear this man talk sentences. We need to hear how he talks. Does he yell? Maybe you recognize someone by the way they yell or the way they, certain words. Some people have sort of a Southern type of twang. Some people have different accents. You can tell if you listen more extensively to an individual's conversation. I think they need to release more of that.
Absolutely. So I was wondering about the car.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't, they said they released information, and then by the way, if you want to see the video or audio, go to Anthony's channel. The links are in the description box below. Go and check out his videos. They are awesome. So this car that was abandoned, they said, at the CPS building, the Child Protection Building or something.
Yes.
We only sort of heard a little bit about that. We haven't even, who's seen it? We don't even have a color of the car.
Well, so across from this individual, it's ironic because I was there today explaining a lot of this to people, and directly across from that CPS building is another building. It's called the Andersons. It's a feed mill. It's where they make grain and things like that. There are security cameras that are pointed in the direction of that CPS building. Now, they are quite a distance away, but they could see a vehicle parked there and pull up, and you could see someone at a distance. It would be very difficult to tell much. You wouldn't be able to get a license plate or anything like that, but I believe that law enforcement has seen those videos and been able to determine that this is where an individual parked. With the FBI and forensic technology, I believe that they were able to narrow down that there was a vehicle there and that the individual driving that vehicle or in that vehicle was wearing a blue jacket. And so I think that they do know a color, and they know it was a car. They know it wasn't a truck. I believe they do know what kind of color and that it was a car. And what they're doing is, the reason they're not releasing that is because they're waiting on an individual to call in and say the right vehicle, the right color vehicle, because then they'll know that that is a credible tip. For instance, if it was a red Dodge Charger at the crime scene and they know that, and I call in a tip and I say, I think it was a white Toyota that was there, law enforcement knows that I'm incorrect. But if I called in, the red car and said, well, you know what, I know someone that drove a red car and I think that he was parked there, that would be a tip that they would follow up on because they know what kind of vehicle it is.
That makes sense. I didn't think of that aspect. But yeah, that definitely makes sense. Do you think that it was totally random, that he was sort of hanging out waiting for something to happen or someone to walk up that he could hurt? Or do you think they were catfish? Because I've heard people mention that.
In my opinion on that one, I think it was completely random. He was there prior to the girls being there. He was there over an hour prior to them being there. They went there at spur of the moment, that we can tell. The FBI and the cyber crimes unit, crimes against children, did an extensive investigation into the internet aspect.
So let's just pause this with the information that has come out in the last few days. I asked Anthony there if there was a possibility of being catfished, and with the information that's come out in the last couple of days, it seems like maybe it could be a possibility. Anthony's saying that they did an extensive internet search, background search on social media, and they probably did, but it seems like it's taken them this many years to get more information about this particular social media person that they're looking for now, which obviously will go through more in depth in the weekend when we have Anthony on. But yeah, very, very interesting. Let's continue.
Of this, and I think that if it was some sort of Snapchat murder or Instagram, Facebook, anything like that, that law enforcement would have been able to pinpoint that individual really quick. So, you know, the easiest crimes to get away with, or murders, I would say, statistically showing, are crimes where individuals don't know the individual, where it is a chance opportunity, where, you know, if I was to go to New Zealand and murder someone and then leave, it would be very likely I could get away with that, because the first people that law enforcement looks at are your relatives, your significant others, and then your enemies. But if I am none of those, there is no ties to me to that. So it would be very difficult for anybody to pinpoint, and nobody would be able to say, "Oh, I know this guy, you know, from the U.S. that was here." Nobody would know that, you know. So I think that it was definitely a crime of opportunity.
Right. I just want to say hi to Gary and Zul and Cheryl. Thanks for popping by. Some people have said that they think maybe it's because of the two different sketches, but they think that maybe two people were involved. And I wonder if that's because we want to know how he was able to control the two of them at the same time.
A firearm. A firearm seems to be the most plausible reason. Holding a gun on somebody can easily control two people at the same time. And or maybe he held one as, you know, maybe he grabbed one and told the other one that, you know, if you don't listen to me, I'm going to hurt your friend. You know, I'm going to kill her. If you just cooperate, everything's going to be fine. And that could really put someone in a horrible predicament, because what are you going to do? Are you going to run and let this individual kill your friend, or are you going to comply and hope that, you know, he just lets you go?
Yeah.
You know, it's either that or a firearm.
I mean, you have to think of, I guess, being put in the position of being a 13-year-old girl as well, you know, pretty young, and that's your best friend that you're with. So, yeah, definitely. I think that he could threaten one and the other one would have to do as they're told. Why do you think they weren't heard? I mean, were they that far away, the bodies, where they were found, that no one could hear them there?
No, they would have been able to be heard. You can hear people moving or walking or talking and things like that. I think that the reason they weren't heard is because there was just nobody home. Nobody was home in that general area. They did go down into a valley type area that is very secluded, where the bodies were found is the most secluded spot in that whole area. And they're just, the people that were coming down the trail after them were just too far away to be able to hear anything. And by the time they actually got there, the crime had already been committed. So it happened pretty quick.
Yeah. Why do you think this crime in particular has, I don't want to say popular because that's not a nice word, but is so well known and has gone around the world, and there's so many people that study it and everything. Why do you think that is?
The reason I think it is so popular, and I've wondered the same thing, I say it all the time. I'm like, wow, the tiny little town that I grew up in is world famous for these murders. And I've asked myself that same question, why? And I've come to the conclusion that it's because it's a very, very tiny town. We have a video of the suspect. We have a picture, the last picture of the girls at the area. And it's a tiny trail where they were found. The reason that they weren't found, which raises a lot of concern that, okay, they were only a football field away. I mean, it's not far. So why weren't they found? There's just a lot of strange circumstances regarding this. But I think what keeps people on edge and what draws people in is you've got two sketches, you've got a voice, you've got a video, and you've got all this evidence, but you just can't get there. It's like that one tiny little piece that you're searching for. And all of us you can look at that extensively. There has been days where I have just stared at that picture for hours on end and just trying to enhance it on the computer or something. And it's like almost time that your mind will play tricks on you and say, I figured it out. It's this guy. But then it never pans out, So I think it's just that thing that keeps you're almost there, but you're just not quite. And I think that's what draws people into it.
What do you think the police need to release more of, or what information they need to release to help us or help you guys hopefully find the suspect?
I think that we need to hear more audio. That is number one. I think that if possible, if there is more video of the suspect that we could see, I think that might help individuals identify him. But I think that we need to know more about the crime scene itself. If we know more about the crime scene itself, I think that there is potentially a way where we could help solve the case. For example, some of these signatures, let's say the individual did something, crazy and it was some weird fetish of his. Now someone may come forward and say, you know what, man, I have a friend of mine that talks about weird stuff like that all the time, but I always thought he was joking. But that may trigger someone's mind to say, you know what, man, I do know someone that talks about weird stuff like that. This may be the individual, So I think that they need to release more information like that, because at this point, they've just confused everybody with the two sketches, with the age of the suspect. And, they need to come out more and tell us if they've made a mistake, if they really don't know what he looks like, and explain the difference between the sketches. That would help us big time.
I agree. I think the sketches is one of the big things that has really confused people. They're just so completely bloody different. Yeah. So do you think he watches like the news and maybe YouTube, I don't know, and watches these videos about himself and keeps up with the information?
I was asked that today, and I strongly believe that he watches videos about him. I know that he follows it on the media. He is very interested in what people are talking about. I do believe that he's very interested in my channel, just because I'm from the area, and the likelihood of me actually knowing who this individual is great. I believe that I've probably met the individual. I've probably talked to him. I think that he's very interested in that because there's one of two things that are happening. Either one is people are getting some things right and it's making him nervous and he wants to keep updated on that to see how right they're getting. Or two, we're absolutely wrong and he's laughing in our faces and he's watching it just to say they have not a clue anything of what happened that day or about me or anything. So I feel that he's confident enough to go watch that. I mean, law enforcement thought that he was confident enough to be in the room at the press conference.
Yeah, I seen that one. They were trying to speak directly to him and give him a message, but obviously that didn't work either. Yeah. So I know that there's been, I mean, you've made so much videos about this case and you have really explored every aspect of it that you can possibly explore, I think, after all this time. What makes you want to solve this case and gives you the drive to focus on it so much and try and solve it?
What drives me to do this is circumstances that revolve around my life and me. So when I was 10 years old, my mother was murdered. Okay. And when in 2002, my biological father had murdered someone. And that's something that I never really understood. And it's always remained unsolved. And his case wasn't unsolved, but hers was. And so I never really knew, any closure in that. And then when this happened with the Delphi girls, it just hit me so close to home. And I feel so bad when I see, the family members going through the things that they're going through. And I don't want them to live in the same way that I have. I want to see closure. I've seen what happened to my community. Everyone looks over their shoulder these days. Everyone looks at each other and says, maybe that's the guy over there. And that never used to be like that. People used to love each other and not be in fear. And now everybody's scared. And I hate that.
Thanks for sharing that with us. I know that I haven't experienced anything like that as you have, but the families are definitely why I do it, because I just can't bear the thought of the pain that they go through and the heartache. It breaks my heart. It really does. So I just want to have a look in the chat. Can you see that, Greenough?
I can see some chat. Yeah. I see Gary. I see Dave. I see Little Pookie, Cheryl, and then Gary's comment. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's good. So Gary says, I'm not really good at this, by the way. No, Little Pookie says, it is suspected that there is audio that is too painful. And that's what you were alluding to before, wasn't it?
Yes.
That something from that video wasn't nice.
Yeah. I think that he's saying things to them, or they're probably, in fear, and you can tell, you can hear it. He's telling them what to do, or maybe even hurting them in that audio.
Yeah. So Autumn Breeze, in light of the huge online investigation, if the second sketch is a younger man, do you think this is someone who likely has zero or minimal social media presence?
Yes. Yes, I do. I believe that he does not make he's probably not a Facebook guy. He's probably not posting videos on YouTube. He's an individual that if he watches, he's not going to be, a Gary or a Dave or a Marvelous Marvin or any of these people. He's not going to be commenting on videos, but he'll sit back and probably watch and listen. But he doesn't want to put himself out there because, as you see, almost everybody that comes in and starts talking, somebody will end up looking you up and vetting you and saying, well, I want to know who this person is.
Yes.
So they want to check and see if you are the guy. And he knows that. So I don't think that he's going to make a comment on anything.
I definitely know the true crime community, would definitely hunt the person and try to find out more information. Cheryl says, Anthony, after your video today, BG is defiantly or definitely probably physically fit to be able to corral 2 girls in that terrain. And he looks so old in that first sketch that you think, oh, is he capable of what he needs to do with 2 girls? But then when you see the second sketch, of course, he's much younger, and you think, well, definitely he could do it.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. He, getting up and down those hills through that creek, everywhere that you go. And, I made 3 live videos today where I was walking through the water, down the hills, in the crime scene, up across the bridge, all over the area, just to show people some things that you normally see. And I was out of breath. I'm 35 years old. I'm in good shape, and it's rough. The terrain, it's woods, but it's very steep hills that you are going up and down. It's not easy to navigate.
Right. So Gary says, freaks love being online and think they are smarter than others. Yeah, freaks think they're smarter than others. I would agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I wanted to ask you that I've seen on your channel lately, your involvement in Can't Stop, Won't Stop.
Yes.
Do you want to tell me a little bit about that and what you're doing with that and what it's about?
Yeah. So Can't Stop, Won't Stop is an LLC company out of the state of Michigan. And
so, guys, I'm going to stop the video there, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to, in the source links in the description box below, I'm going to have Anthony's channel, so you can go straight over there if you want. He's got hundreds and hundreds of videos about Delphi where you can find anything out. And I'll also have the links, trying to fix my hair, have the links to what we've just watched today in the description box as well. Do you guys feel like watching those 2 that you sort of understand the case now? Before we go into the last couple of days and the emerging stuff that's coming up, I wanted it to sort of, before we go into the weekend, and I can find out a time when Greenough's free to go over this information that's coming over the last few days in the case, that it was good to sort of get up to date with it. Yeah, that's all they've said, Little Pookie. So, it doesn't sound like something that we need to know. I mean, everyone's curious, I guess, about how they died. But, geez, the police have released bugger all information over all these years. And the fact that they came out with this in the middle of the night the other day about this new Anthony Shots profile, the social media profile and the catfishing, and then who's behind it. Yeah, I thought videos had great details and helped refresh. So yeah, you can go back and watch from the beginning if you need help remembering. But Abby and Libby went to the Monon High Trail on the 13th of February 2017, and they did not return when they were supposed to be picked up. They were found dead, unfortunately, the next day, and their killer has never been caught, and we've had very little from the police over this time. So now the fact that some information is coming out has got the true crime genre excited on YouTube. We really want to know what this means, and whether this means we're going to find out who hurt Libby and Abby. That's what we want to know. Who hurt these two beautiful girls? And, you know, Liberty had that presence of mind to record Bridge Guy and his voice so we could find the killer. But for this, at this time, it hasn't been enough, and that's really, really sad. Jess says, yes, maybe they released info before someone high above changed their mind. Yeah, we never know. Vera says if they have enough DNA, they could do familial DNA. So they have alluded, the law enforcement have alluded to having DNA, but they have not come right out and said that they do. So that's not something I'm totally sure of. They just aren't forthcoming with a lot of information. The voice in the video, yet we are no further ahead, Jesse says. Exactly. And that's sad that Liberty got that voice, got that guy on video, and it hasn't helped us get anywhere. So that sucks. But it is what it is. So I'm going to sign off here, guys. I've got work this afternoon. I have to get things organized. Keep chatting in the comments below if you like. That'll be interesting to see what people think. Please hit the like, subscribe, donate. Anything you do would be helpful. Everything in the description box below for links. Thank you so much for being here, guys. You know, I love you all. And I couldn't do this without you. So have a great day. I love you. Be good. You're welcome, Autumn. Yeah, exactly right, Jessie. She practically handed him to us, and it wasn't good enough, which is really, really sad. See you next time, guys. Sometime in the next couple of days, and we will have Greenough on the show to go over all the new information that's happening in the next couple of days.